Welcome back to Making Adventure. I'm Stephanie, and we're super excited because today we're going to be doing the electrical system in the truck.
This is very dirty. Oh wow, we got spray foamed. I've been waiting to do this video for a very long time, and it's almost time for us to complete our electrical system. The only reason why it's not quite time yet is the Sikaflex needs it to be 50 degrees, and it's around 29 at night and 45 during the day. Doesn't feel like that to me, but Sikaflex needs a higher temperature to cure. So I can't quite mount my solar panels to the roof yet. So that was giving me kind of a hard place to start this system. There's no real logical endpoint that I could start on and work the other way. So ignoring the solar panels, I can move on to the next thing. The next thing is the charge controllers, which we have 3 of. And the reason we have 3 of is, I'm pretty sure I mentioned before, our roof shape is so that we could put more solar panels on our roof than you can on an average motorhome. Motorhomes with a flat roof, usually you see about 2 of them side by side. We kind of angled it up so you can put a 3rd one in the middle. With all 3 of those panels facing different directions, we wanted to capitalize on whichever one had the most sun, and the best way to do that was with 3 charge controllers. So we've got 3 Victron 30 amp MPPT charge controllers. From that, it goes into the battery. Also going into the battery, a DC to DC charger, a Victron 30 amp DC to DC charger. This will bring in power from our motor, so the regular driving batteries, 30 amps to charge our house batteries. That's what this thing is for. Also bringing battery power into the battery bank is our converter, which takes 120 volts and converts it into a voltage that the batteries can charge off of. So that's all power going into the system. And then coming out of the system, of course, we've got all of our 12 volt fuses that you saw us set up previously. And then we've also got this inverter that you saw us test. This is a Ames Power 4000 watt split phase 120/240 inverter, pure sine wave inverter. It takes the regular DC and inverts it to AC so that we can run our regular household appliances. So this is going to run the stove, this is going to run the vent, the TV, all those things. As much as we can, we're going to do 12 volt to keep things DC, because when you invert it to AC, you lose quite a bit of power. It's not really that much. Technology is getting a lot better. I think this one's like 80% efficient, 90% efficient, something like that. I can't remember. I'll look it up. We'll put it on the screen. But it's something. When you use just straight 12 volt to 12 volt, you use all your power that you have stored in the batteries. Also, as a protection measure, because we will be plugging in, maybe, hopefully with this system, with the solar panels and everything, we will never have to plug in. But in the off chance that we do have to plug in, this is a surge protector, so we don't fry anything. And so this will also be hard mounted in line. So let me just take all of this, throw everything inside, and I can explain more the logic underneath. Oh, it's dark in here. Why did I not expect that?
A few months ago, somebody asked why we were always filming in the dark, and we were working at like 4 p.m. And right now it is 9:35 p.m., mid to late April.
Not dark yet.
It's not dark yet. It's crazy how that works up here in Alaska.
All right, so the first thing in the truck, our Progressive Industries electrical management system surge protector. So if we plug into shore power, or we plug into a generator that doesn't have very clean power coming in, This will protect us from those spikes. It's expensive, but the units that you can get to plug in are cheaper. A lot of people forget those. I'm one of those ones that most likely would forget it. First thing in the system. Might have to make this junction box down here. Alright, so our next thing in the system is our Ames power converter. I don't remember the wattage on this, or the amperage. This outputs 75 amps. So if we're plugged into shore power, this will charge our batteries on the house side at 75 amps. This is enough to run everything DC in our system, plus charge our batteries a little bit. So this is the next thing to go in. And now this thing, I'm going to mount here would look the best, definitely. I need to decide whether I want it to look better or be more functionality wise. Well, this is one of those systems that you're going to show off. This one, I'm going to go with look better, because this is if we're plugged into shore power. Pretty much when you're plugged into shore power, you can assume you have infinite energy. Like, right, as long as the generator has gas in it, as long as the power doesn't go out at the RV park, you're going to be making power. So I can have this mounted in this orientation where my logo's up and it looks nice and pretty, but then my runs will be really long to my battery on the 12 volt side. I'm going to lose some power over that long run, but it's fine. You're charging off a seemingly infinite source. This is going to go right here. But before I do that, because once I install this you won't be able to see, I'm going to put in the component that's going to go right here. So this is our Victron Energy DC-DC charger. This will pull from our regular driving batteries at 30 amps and charge our coach batteries, our house batteries, at 30 amps. DC to DC. Minimal loss when you're using DC to DC, and another seemingly infinite source. We're not going to be driving the truck every day. We're not going to be driving it that often, but when we do, it's probably going to be for long stints. As long as the motor's running, we'll be able to charge our house batteries off of this. And being Victron and Bluetooth, we can monitor all this stuff on our phone. So that's a definite plus. That is awkward. These are our MPPT charge controllers. So MPPT stands for multi-power port tracking.
Muppet.
And this 130 means I can put in 100 volts, up to 100 volts, and get out 30 amps. That's how Victron does their wording. They're going to be mounted real close to the batteries because this, I want to pull as much power from the sun for as long as possible because it does go down eventually. This is the one that I want to be working the most efficient. The rest of these, infinite source. It's funny how that is. I'm considering the sun a finite source, but the fossil fuel's an infinite source. Either way, let me mount this real quick and then we will go inside the truck. So this is a conundrum. This is the battery input side. This is the output side, which means for me to put this in this most efficient spot, this label is going to be upside down, and that's going to bug me.
It's going to be hard to read too.
Yep, it's going to be very hard to read. So we're going to have to make this not efficient. That sucks. That's okay.
It's only by like 2 feet though.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's only 2 feet.
It's big wire.
We're going to make the wire bigger. And so that should be okay. Should be fine. It's not like we're putting it on the other side of the truck, you know, another 28 feet or so. This is just 2. Big one. One side is very obviously heavier than the other side. Oh, right on top. Okay. This bin looks a whole lot smaller with that inverter in there.
Yeah, I do.
I'm wondering about the batteries.
You want to bring it forward more?
No, because I need this space for the cord. And I don't want to... Huh?
The cord can move.
You're right, but I don't want to get it to where the cord's going to be rolling around in the grass and in the dirt and in the mud and in the water. I don't want to get that anywhere near my inverter. So I might even put like a wall up. I might even do like a plexiglass wall or something. We'll see. We're pretty much done here with setting up the system, and obviously there's something missing. The batteries, once what we just talked about, and the reason why those aren't here is because the batteries themselves are about $1,000 a piece, which I understand, you got to pay to play. But the shipping to Alaska is another $750 each, and I just don't want to pay for the same battery twice. So we'll limp down through the states on our small, I know they're not rated for it, but starting batteries for our automobile that we got for 20 bucks for two or something like that. We'll limp down through the states on that, we'll be fine. And then when we get down to where the US, I'll call it, the US, we'll get the right batteries. And then we'll be able to last for forever. The other thing missing is the cables. And also a thing we gotta wait on shipping, because to hook all the stuff together, I don't want to run a cable to each one of these devices. I want to run to a bus bar and to a fuse system, and those things I'm still waiting on shipping as well. So that's another thing. Hopefully next video they're here and we can show you wiring up the whole thing, and then we can do a test. But you never really know, because it's Alaska. They don't treat us like the rest of the country.
They don't. It sounds so bad to say it like that.
Yep.
But they don't.
It's hecked. So that's going to be it here. I'm going to lock this up. Do I have a key for that on this?
I don't think so. I think they're all
I
boxed
don't. I don't have a key for this bin yet. Sweet. Now we can go inside and we can talk about why we did what we did. I forgot something. We put this with everything else so it doesn't get lost. Okay, now time to inside.
All right, even though it is brighter later in the day and spring is springing, it's still a titty bit nipply out, so I'm really glad we're done for the night. It was warmer when we started, and now I'm cold.
We're not done for the night.
Not inside? Not outside?
It's not warm in the truck.
Ah! We're going that inside?
No, we're going the truck inside.
We're going the truck inside. Dang, it's not warm in there. Poop. Poop.
So it's warm enough that I turned all the heaters off, but it is not warm enough for Stephanie to be comfortable. You're okay.
What's that Family Guy?
I don't remember that Family Guy.
Headline, Woman cold.
I can't say that. You can say that. I can't say that.
Peter said it.
Peter did say that. I am not Peter.
A lot of stuff.
He does. All right. So why we set up our system like we did, why didn't we just do Victron everything or Ames Power everything? Really, from what I've seen, the brand to get is Victron. Victron's like the best overall from, that's what everybody uses is Victron. I like a lot of their stuff, but a lot of their stuff is very expensive. Plus, they didn't have a split phase inverter. Ames Power did have a split phase inverter. I would leave a link down below to the inverter that we got, but it's not continued anymore. Shortly after we bought it, they stopped making a 12 volt, 4,000 watt watt split phase 120 240 inverter. I don't know why. We tested ours, it worked fine, it ran our welder. That's what we wanted it to do. We wanted something to be able to run the welder on batteries. It will do it. So that's why we went with Ames power for the inverter and Victron for pretty much everything else. Victron just works well with another Victron device, and they have that system, that ecosystem, that Bluetooth things together. When it came to our converter, it didn't really matter which one we chose. We just wanted to stick with a familiar brand. We had already got the Ames power inverter, and so getting a converter, might as well just get another one as well. It's just a 12 volt source. That's all it is. 12 volt source, and how many amps are you willing to put in there. They have cheaper ones. I think ours was, I don't remember. We'll put a price on screen, but the cheap thing that most RVs come with was not that far off from getting an Ames one or getting a cheaper one. Definitely though in quality. Looking at the reviews, the quality was a vast difference. And converter is when you take AC power and create DC. An inverter is when you take DC power and you create AC. In case I messed up my words talking in there, that's what I'm trying to say. Our system has a large battery bank. We're going with 300 amp hour lithium polymer batteries. That's a substantial amount of batteries there. We can do the math. That's 900 amp hours. And to get your watt hours of the whole system, you take your amp hours times your system voltage, and that will give you your watt hours. We'll put that on screen right here too. I didn't have to do 3 charge controllers to charge that kind of a system. I could put all the solar panels into one charge controller and charge the whole system with it, but I wanted redundancy. Our whole build so far has been all about redundancy. With our water tanks, we've got 4 of them. They're wired up into one. It's going to be one big tank. Our refrigerators, not one big refrigerator, 3 different small ones. Heaters, 2 different small ones, plus the mini split on the wall. We have so many different sources to accomplish the same task, just in case. Living in Alaska, I don't want to be without, because up here, if something breaks, either you fix it or you wait until it can be shipped. And I'm using that same mentality in the truck. Even though we're going to be in the States, we can get it quicker. I'm using the same mentality. I want to have everything with me. Yeah, so I hope you learned something on this whole setup that we're doing with our electrical system, and hopefully next time things will have arrived and we can test the system and get rid of this power supply deal. So if you have any questions about why we did something or why we didn't do something, feel free to post a comment down below. I don't mind helping people with setting up their whole systems or anything like that. I have done a lot of research on this topic. We've been building this truck for a long time, and I'm happy to share any knowledge that I've gathered along the way. We answer every single question down below, so ask away.
If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Kiwi.
What happened?